Hey everyone, how's it going? Elliot here, welcome to the Retro Future. Today we're going to be making a very special video on something that I absolutely should not have in my hands right now. This is called the DSI Factory, and it is something that was used internally inside Nintendo factories as a testing device for other Nintendo consoles. Specifically, this one was used for testing the Wi-Fi on the Nintendo 3DS. And I know that's like really confusing because this is a predecessor to the 3DS, but essentially this was used as the interface on the machine that Nintendo made to test the Wi-Fi on the 3DS. So instead of having a small screen and an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi, Nintendo had access to the hardware and also to software developers, so they just whipped up a piece of software that plugged into the back of this. They made some whole doohickey which held this and the 3DS, and the photos have been leaked, but I'm not actually sure if I'm allowed to show them or not. Nintendo, please don't sue me. This was used as the interface, so you could, control the software using the touchscreen and the buttons, and it displayed what was going on the screen up there, and you could probably get some data written onto the SD card as well that you could later analyze, all the little software wizards that will do that. So there we have it. That was what it was used for, and you can actually see, you might not be able to make it out, but there's a slight bit of discoloration here, which is where it was held in the machine. And on the back, there always seems to be a little bit of damage here. Presumably it was fixed into the machine using some sort of hexagonal nut that was there, and there's also a kind of a hexagonal shape here, and there's some bit of damage up here as well, so it was not meant to be removed, and this was found in a scrapyard in China. So Nintendo must have shipped all of the stuff that they didn't want anybody to have to a scrapyard in China, and then the scrapyard were like, well, this probably has some value, and they sold it. That is the word on the street. There's quite a few of these in circulation, and this one's quite destroyed, but it might work. It should work. I hope it works. There's also a sticker on the back, and that says, development unit, not for resale. And that sticker is exactly the same sticker that's on this, which is called the DSI Panda, which was used by software developers to test out the games once they had begun coding them to a point where you could actually plug them in and play them on here. So there we have it. Hopefully that's not complete information overload. And if it isn't, I got a bit more information for you. This is also a kiosk mode unit. What does that mean? Well, I recently made a video on a 3DS kiosk, which was used in stores for people to go in and play on the 3DS. And that only works, that 3DS only works if it's plugged into the mains, which kind of makes sense. They don't want people to take it. I guess people are gonna think if they take it and it doesn't work that it's broken. So it only works when plugged into the mains, and this is also in kiosk modes. So there's a few unique things about this. It's got the Panda sticker on the back, it's got development software, but it's not the Panda unit, which is the black and white one. This is actually an all-white unit, which is in a development mode on the software, it's in kiosk mode on the hardware, and it's also, in really bad shape because of the machine that it was made to serve. So that's all the information I can give you about the DSI Factory, a very cool thing, but it doesn't work. I've got a battery thing here so that we can actually plug it in and test it. I made a video on this recently. So you can see it has a bit of power here, but when you go to turn it on, nada is happening. So there's lots going wrong, we need to fix it. To do that, I've bought a couple more DSIs here from Japan. How do I do this again? Oh yeah, intro. So what we're gonna start by doing, and it is a quick swap, so I thought, you know what, let's just keep the camera rolling. I'm gonna remove the motherboard from here and pop it into the DS that we've bought over there. We've bought a couple, we being, us, obviously. I got them from Sendico, as I do with pretty much everything in my life. So you can see there's no battery in here, which is quite interesting. I love it when I buy something online and it comes with DNA from the person who sold it. Can we see this here? I'll add that to my pile. One day, I hope to clone this person. Okay, so here is a DSI. This one is in bloody good condition. Oh, this one comes with a game. Oh, oh, that one's in even better condition. That one's absolutely immaculate. Wow. Okay. Well, I know which one we're using. What game does it come with? It's come with New Super Mario Bros. That is fantastic. Thank you very much, seller. So this is the one we're going to use because it's in really good condition. And what I wanted to quickly show you was that this does not work with the battery. Let me show you this. So, wait a minute. It's not in kiosk mode. But yeah, you can see the screens are absolutely destroyed. But yeah, it's not in kiosk mode. That's confusing. Let me double check with my expert. So, it is in kiosk mode, but it's not in the same kiosk mode as the other one. Bit confusing. You can't turn it off, which also means you can't exit games. So if this was the kiosk version in a kiosk, it would be running a game demo that someone can go in and play, but then they can't exit the game into any other part of the DS. It is only limited to what application is open. So there we have it. That clears that up. I know you were dying to know, but yeah, it does actually work with the battery in. You can't turn it off, and the screens are broken, so we can't go any further because we don't know what we're doing. Right, so the next thing to do is dive in further into this, which we should be able to do just by yanking this off, because I don't actually see that there's any screws left in here. So let's go ahead and remove this back piece. There we go, a few little latches on the bottom, and then there should be a couple of ribbon cable parts. So what we're going to do is remove the little ribbon cable there for the shoulder buttons. So the thing that I'm quite sad about is that, that's interesting as well, that stylus is like fully stuck in there. Has that been like glued in? That is not coming out. Nintendo, you do such weird things. What is going on here? Look, they've glued the stylus in. You can see there's a little bit of black peeking through the side, but for some reason, they've glued the stylus in. That is baffling. Why? So we obviously want to use this shell piece because it's got this exclusive sticker, this serial number, and this one here. And I don't really want to just remove those stickers because there's a high chance that that's not going to go very well. So what I'm going to try and do, because the only piece here that's really going to stop this from all closing up nicely is this piece right here, which is obviously something to do with how it was anchored into the machine. I'm going to try and cut this piece out and then try and put it back in and glue it, because the way that it's pushed through means I'm not going to be able to push it back through again without shaving some bits off it. The first cut has been made. We'll go in for the second one. There we go. So immediately that's taken the pressure off of this little corner up here, because that was quite bent. So now what I'm thinking is, can I put this piece back in? Because you see how it's perfectly hexagonal right there. I reckon we can tidy this up and put it back in. So I've shaved off some of those edges. Now, what I'm hoping is we'll be able to put this piece back in. So what I'm going to do now is just put a bunch of glue around this area. I don't need too much because it is relatively well anchored. It might not look pretty, but it's a damn sight lot better than before, and it's also straightened it, so that's really good. The next thing to do is start dismantling the actual DSI that we're going to be using at the donor housing on, because the rest of it is quite destroyed. You know, we're not going to be wanting to use this top shell with all of this damage that's on here. And also the screen is destroyed too. You know, the hinge here is damaged and destroyed too. But there's nothing exclusive about this top section. This is all a standard unit. We just need to take the motherboard out, put it in the other one, put the back on, and we're done. And so there we have it. I have fully restored this Nintendo DSi Factory back to working condition. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. There's a couple of things on it that obviously aren't ideal, like this bit of damage on the back is not great, but it is a part of its history. I didn't want to start trying to take off stickers because that can get really messy and you could rip the sticker. And also, I just like that on the back, there's all of these points which showed where it was once mounted into that machine. So this thing is a bit of a weird one. In order to turn it on, like normal, you would press the power button. But then, you can't turn it off. I mean, I'm not totally sure why that was a feature, but you cannot just turn it off. So in order to turn it off and on, you've got to use the charger. I guess this was just a part of the function of it operating in that machine. It is, as I said earlier, in the kiosk mode, which is just a slightly different mode to the regular ones. It only really kind of works when you've got the charger plugged in. And then that way you can turn it off by unplugging it, or it'd be more likely that you'd be switching it off at the mains. So then to turn it back on, you can also just plug it in. So I think this would have just been operated on a mains switch that might have actually been on the machine, and then the charger would have all been internal into the machine, and it all would have turned off and on together. So we can now have a little look around this unit, and unfortunately, there's not much to report on. Without any software plugged into this thing, it's pretty much just the DSi Panda, which is the development DSi. So there's two different apps that you don't have on the retail one. You've got the NAND filer and the TWLN menu, both of which I have no idea what they are, but it's just some sort of like development software, because as I said earlier, this thing is in the development mode. Obviously it works like normal. You've got the camera. Oh my God, if there's any photos on here, we don't want the tutorial. There are no photos. There are no photos. It took me through some whole tutorial, and I can report there are no photos. So that really is going to be it for this video. There's not a great deal to look at. It does actually work with retail games. The one thing that this will do, which a retail one won't, is play development software. I don't have any development cartridges for the DSi, but yeah, it does actually recognize and play regular retail games, but that is for the original Nintendo DS. There we have it. I'll leave the link to the Panda video in the description and put it up in the card if you want to check that out. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Massive thank you to Jamie for helping me out with all of this. And yeah, what an interesting little piece of equipment. I guarantee you probably didn't know. That's not much of a guarantee. I guarantee you didn't know that this was a thing before this video. Wow, and I also didn't know that you could press up and move the apps around. I thought you could only do that by dragging them. You live and you learn. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Let me know down in the comments section what you thought of this video and what you thought of the DSi Factory. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.